Hello, everybody. Welcome to Womenlines.com. Yes, friends, at Womenlines, we firmly believe that knowledge is power. And when that knowledge is put into action, it becomes a superpower. Today, I am thrilled to introduce you to our new sales coach at Womenlines, who will not only share his expertise in sales, but also guide you on how to elevate it to a superpower through strategic application. Let's welcome Manish Tiwari from India. Manish is a startup CXO turned solopreneur with over 23 years of experience. He's a verified coach, mentor, and digital educator. His mission is to demystify and simplify selling and sales to help even a beginner thrive in their sales and career journey. He's based in India. Welcome, Manish, to Women Lines.
Thank you so much, Charu, and thanks for the kind introduction. Excited to talk to you and through you to your very, very interesting and growing community of at Womenlines.
Thank you so much for giving your time and accepting the offer to be sales coach at Womenlines. So, Manish, we are eager to know about you more. Can you share about yourself as a professional and as a person too?
Yeah, sure. So, my as you told the audience before, my current avatar is of a sales coach, mentor, and educator. That's what I do now. I typically I help people thrive through their sales careers, even if they've never done selling or they are very very beginner in selling. That's what I do. But I have had a former avatar, an afterlife or a before life, as you call it,
Okay.
which is of a professional working corporate professional where I spent about 23 years working for various organizations in India, startups and large companies, where I grew from being a sales executive, a frontline sales executive, to a vice president of business growth for a large Series C funded startup. So that's been my former life. This is my current life, and I think I enjoyed that life also. I'm enjoying this also. I guess that's where I am.
Wonderful. So, Manish, sales is often regarded as a challenging profession. What motivated you to pursue it as a career choice for yourself?
Oh, that's interesting. Honestly, I never really had a very well thought through thing. It feels good to say that I had planned everything in advance, but the reality is that I got into sales career more by sort of default than design. I did my MBA and job I got was in B2B sales. And I think I'd like to share this. My own initial understanding of sales and selling was also what I think is very is what many people have, which is like sales is very challenging, very pushy,
True.
very tough, very hard profession. And in the first few years of my sales career, I used to think like that, and it honestly made my selling journey not very easy in the first few years. But what I realized is, and this was also a turning point for me, is as I started spending more time in sales, as I started selling more, I realized that this is just one aspect or maybe a smaller aspect of selling that people talk about. Sales is also a lot about building engagement, building networks, connections, helping people, empathy. So a lot of things which I believe sometimes doesn't really get talked about that much as it should be. And I thought this is something I am good at. I started, and the moment I started realizing that, and I started looking at sales a bit differently than the standard way of looking at sales, I also started thriving in my own sales career. And then I think there was no looking back. And then I sort of moved up the hierarchies, did a lot of things. And that's what I also try and bring to the table as a mentor, as a coach, wherein I believe that the way we look at sales, our entire mindset needs to make a shift, and then we can all thrive.
So well said, Manish. In fact, yes, I do agree as an entrepreneur. I too myself have I have a blockage. Like this word sales used to come and I dread it. Oh God. I mean, this is something which is not easy and I have to train myself. But you have explained it so nicely. Like it's a matter of experience and changing the mindset and looking the way how you are approaching it. So we are so eager to hear from you every month now and learn from your expertise and knowledge that how we can make it easy for entrepreneurs to remove that blockage from our mindset and we can thrive in sales also. So can you
Sure.
share any aha moment from your journey in the field of sales? A moment that you are really proud of and that reaffirmed your decision to pursue that, okay, this was a right decision for myself as a fulfilling career.
Yeah, sure. So normally when somebody asks me or somebody will ask this question to any salesperson, I think what will typically come to mind is when I overachieved my target, when I got the big medal or something, and that's the big moment for anybody in
Correct.
sales, because sales is also a lot about targets, numbers, and achievements. And God has been kind. I have had a lot of such moments. But if you honestly ask me what is the aha moment, it was not that. The
Okay.
aha moment for me, the aha moment for me was when I started making that realizations that sales is much more than what people think it is. And I'll give you an example, and I'll give you a real incident that when I was about, I think, 4 or 5 years into selling, I was in a company where we were selling recruitment and staffing services to large corporates, and one of my client was one of the largest telcos, telecom companies in India. And when I closed that deal, and we got an order to sort of place about 400, 500 people in that company, and we managed that entire thing. What happened to me is that I realized that looking at sales just as a deal closure or just as a number is just a very small part of selling. Because by doing that, what I was doing is that I was actually helping that company get the right manpower. I was helping a set of candidates get to a right job, which will obviously help them thrive in their own life. And I was obviously helping my company with a lot of revenue. So since then, I that was a realization wherein I started looking at sales as a more holistic way, not just in terms of number, target, but the fact is that I think sales is the only profession, and let me put my sort of step out and say that sales is maybe the only profession wherein you can create the maximum impact. So you create impact for your client, you obviously create impact for your organization because
Correct.
you bring in the revenue, and but you also create impact for the people who benefit from your product or services, right? Which is, let's say,
Correct.
the end user,
Very
right?
true.
So three-way benefit, the three-way benefit. And I think the moment I realized, and this was an incident, I started realizing, oh, I'm in a profession where I'm actually able to create such a big impact, not just on one stakeholder, but on multiple. And I think that was, I would count as the aha, the big moment. And from that then on, my whole thought process and way of looking at selling sort of changed.
So you got enlightenment, I suppose, at that moment. Yeah. Okay, this is something big, and I should be
Yes.
stepping in more for other role which you want to play in life. So that's great to know, definitely. So Manish, sales is often an overlooked aspect that many entrepreneurs struggle. You also must
Hmm.
be agreeing with it, right? And to prioritize it in their startup journey, it's not easy. Could you provide some valuable tips for entrepreneurs to effectively incorporate sales strategies right from the beginning of setting up their startups? Because I think that is overlooked from the beginning part. I know you will be sharing your knowledge slowly, slowly with the audience, but some insights to start will be really helpful.
Definitely, Charu. And I think a great question, because I believe, and I have a strong belief, I have worked with a lot of startups in my own career, both as an employee, as a mid-level employee, and as well as a CXO. And I think in my own experience, I think the biggest thing which a lot of startup founders overlook is sales and their own involvement in sales.
Yes.
So what happens is that sales becomes something which gets sort of outsourced to maybe a sales head or somebody else. And I have seen this sort of strange reluctance on part of a lot of founders. And maybe I'm not blaming them. Maybe it is because of the typical image of a salesperson and typical image of what sales really is, that a lot of people who don't come from a sales background and are entrepreneurs typically try, and so they will spend a lot of time into product engineering, design, strategy, but typically on sales, where they have to be out on the field talking to customers or talking to the existing set of clients to upsell, is very less. And I think what the big problem that happens, Charu, if one works like that, is that as a founder, you then never get the real insights. Especially in startup, it is extremely important that if you're not talking to the customers on a sort of daily, weekly, monthly basis, you are not getting direct insights. And startups is all about being very flexible, very agile to what's there in the market. And that's why I say sales is important for everybody. But if you really look at startups, I think extremely important for founders to be really involved in selling, so that they get the insight, they can refine their product, they can change their service offerings, and their own knowledge and their own growth is going to be much more if they get involved into selling. And I think that's why I strongly, and I work with a lot of startups, also early stage startups, wherein my big goal is to sort of help their founders understand this and then learn basics of sellings and be involved. And I think wherever I have done that, it has been fairly productive.
Fantastic share, Manish. I so much agree with you as you mentioned that it's all about refining the product. As a founder, I think we get so much in love with our product, we don't want to think anything negative about it from the beginning, right? So
Yes.
if we realize from the beginning that, okay, the feedbacks and the talks with the customers will help us to make it better, I think that can be a game changer for every starter. So we are so much looking forward to learn those strategies, how we can do that better way. So yes, I
So
would love to
definitely.
know something regarding women entrepreneurs. So as a sales mentor, what key observations have you made regarding the areas where some women entrepreneurs may be lacking? Because you have coached many women entrepreneurs also. Do you have any observation to share?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, this is quite interesting that a lot of work that I do today is with women
Fantastic.
entrepreneurs and women professionals. I'm involved into a couple of groups also, as you are aware, with women sales and women sales mentoring. And I think if you ask me if there are certain very key insights, I think I would like to refer to a couple.
Mhm.
One is the fact that I have seen a lot of women founders, women entrepreneurs uh, being reluctant to move into selling. That's one part, primarily maybe because of the way sales is projected as more of masculine in that sense thing, and they feel that this is not something which they would like to be involved. So that's one, a reluctance part. The second also is that and I will really emphasize on the fact is that putting yourself out as a personal brand. And I think that's very important today, especially in today's world when you're building a brand. Then, and if you're a lady, if you're a founder, it is actually I say it is actually a double advantage if you actually put out yourself as a brand and put out your organization also. But again, I have seen a lot of women take sort of a back seat on that. They don't want to project themselves as a brand. They may like to project their companies. That's one, but not their own self. And if you really see, a lot of successful women-led brands are also women who have branded themselves, right? Because they have branded their own and then they have built a brand around them. They've been very successful. But I have seen few women do that. So I think both the things, and I think there's a third thing also, which I think I've observed working with a lot of women, and which I would, if you ask me, maybe which is something that I'll urge women to think about, that is uh, there is a I say for women there's always two glass ceilings. There is a glass ceiling which is outside, and there is a glass ceiling which is
Correct.
inside your own mind.
I agree
So
with it,
I
definitely.
remember the fact that our own thinking that I can't do it, or this is not for me, or this is like more masculine, I think we need to change that, uh, and we need to say that, and this will go if we start looking at sales more from a helping, sharing perspective rather than a pushing perspective, because that's, I think, the real perspective of sales.
Fantastic share, Manish. I so much agree that blockage in the mind, and we are always in the head, it's not for me, it has to be done by somebody else. So we just miss that opportunity to have hands-on experience. And as a founder, if you're not having that, we cannot understand our product better. This has to be from the beginning, and that's why we have you now. I'm so thrilled to welcome you as a sales coach at Womenlines. Could you please provide a sneak peek into what the Womenlines audience can expect to learn from your monthly sharing at Womenlines? Some insights you can share with us.
Yeah, sure. Firstly, I'm very excited to associate with Womenlines, and I think when we discussed this thing, I immediately picked it up because I thought this is a great medium for me also to share my knowledge and insights, and I think it will also create a lot more impact at the end because of the scale at which you are operating, the fact that you guys are growing and you're reaching to many more women across the world. So I think one, I'm very excited about this opportunity. What I would be doing on a monthly basis, and as we will discuss that more, is I'm fairly active on social media, as you are aware. I am very active on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I have a channel, and I talk a lot about selling and sales mindset, sales tips, insights, and very real life, very practical strategies, which I have seen work in real life. I think that's very important. So I will be bringing the best of these to Womenlines audience on a monthly basis. So the best of what I talk about in various forums and social media and all related to selling, it will be compiled as a sort of a digest, and that will be available to your audience over here. Plus, I would also be answering some key questions. We can have a question answer sort of a column, which I think we are planning together.
Correct.
And people who will have real life questions related to sales, growth, and building their business, I would be in real time. I will be picking those questions and answering. So I think that, I believe, should add a lot of value to your audience.
Fantastic. We are so looking forward for that, Manish. Do follow Manish on his various social media friends, because we will be sharing the links in the content section, definitely. And yes, let's gear up every month and be prepared with your questions. You can list out in the comment section whenever we are sharing the videos, or you can write to us, and we will be sharing the questions with Manish, and we can get answers from him for all the doubts you're having. So my final question, Manish, some message for Womenlines audience to grow their skill in sales, maybe some book or something you love, you have learned from, and you want others also to learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess there are a lot of good resources out there, but I always say sales is best learned by doing. But I think the second best learned is to obviously pick up good information, good knowledge, which is already there. So I will definitely recommend a couple of books which I think change the way which will help you change the way you think about selling. Like, one of the books I'll recommend is called as The New Strategic Selling. That's a very, very insightful book. That's one. There is another which is called To Sell is Human. It's by the author called Daniel Pink. And I think it will resonate a lot with your audience, because it talks all about the different way of looking at sales, and how selling is more humanistic and less of a push one. So I think maybe these are the two books I would say, which I would recommend your audience to really look at, and I'm sure they will gain a lot with that.
Thank you so much for sharing those books, Manish. So friends, let's gear up for Sales Bites with Manish every month. And thank you so much, Manish, for giving your time today and sharing about your experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charu. It was a pleasure, and I look forward to associating with you and talking to all your wonderful audience. Thank you.
Take care.